the experience, the recorded experience of, and let's be very candid, in the history of humanity, how much recorded abuse of the feminine has occurred at the hands or fists of the masculine, or the clubs of the masculine. And we don't either resonate with that, advocate that, and in no way validate it, and we also don't judge it, as much as we may absolutely adamantly recognize it should never have been, and optimally never will be now or in any now. We're not denying that it occurred, and we're not denying the associated pain and suffering that has occurred, and that is still in many ways held within the memory, the collective consensus consciousness memory, or the tribal memory and the emotional memory of the feminine, and not held in the same way in the masculine. Whether fortunately or unfortunately, the masculine has not understood the history of its own effect on the feminine. Does that make sense? That had the masculine understood what it was doing when it did what it did in the past, it would not have done it, could not have done it, not if it truly understood that one soul was causing harm to the process of another soul. That just can't happen. Do we make sense with, when you're talking soul to soul, there is no motivation for violence, subjugation, domination, diminishment, damage, punishment, traumatizing. Those are recognizably unnecessary and non-optimal dynamics. So from a soul's eye view, everything becomes forgivable and everything becomes understandable in such a way as to transform it, change it, transmute it, heal it, transcend it, and solve it, and love from this soul space to all other souls. And there is a memory in the collective, and there are memories in individuals. And those memories are referenced, we'll say, by the personality. We're not saying ego, but we'll say by the identity of that person. It's an identified with trauma. There is a me, there is an ego, there is a personality, there is an identity, and this happened to that construct. And the body that is associated with that personality or identity construct, or mental process, and emotional process. That is a very that trauma brings with it a lot of emotional energy that then gets caught or stuck or trapped in the system of the woman. We're not saying that men don't get abused. They do. They get, being graphic, men get raped and assaulted. Men get killed by other men, or believe it or not, by some women. And that said, it's a different experience, unique experience. We're not comparing the two. We're just saying they both happen. And it has happened to women a lot more in different ways than it has happened to men. And that trauma, that reservoir of unresolved trauma in the feminine, if it happens to an individual woman, does it make sense that there becomes a resonance with the collective historical unresolved trauma of all the other women that have existed in this world up until this moment? So that becomes a challenging thing to release and let go of and heal and forgive, because it becomes an imagined potential, seemingly probable reality of the future. And that right there is so vitally important to understand. For women who have felt and experienced and believed as personalities and identities that they have been abused, assaulted, raped, mistreated, diminished, demeaned, and every form of abuse, is that experience in and of itself, as it was originally recorded, a point of reference of seeming incapacity, disempowerment, vulnerability, and reception of abuse, and victimhood, having been victimized by a predator, by a perpetrator, by someone who is seemingly more powerful or abusive or destructive. And the question is, does that whole construct then disempower women as individuals and as a collective to stand up in their feminine power, not masculinize themselves and in a feministic approach in order to fight back and learn karate and chop the perpetrators in the throat or whatever in order to destroy them? To operate from confident, empowered, creative, feminine, truly feminine energy, and to feel capable in that energy, and to via forgiveness, which is not a process of letting someone else off the hook. It's a process of freeing oneself from the past and from these intense emotions that keep us anchored in the past, or imagined past, or experienced and recorded past, and thus disempowered, incapable of being absolutely our soul self right now. So we want every woman in this whole world, and every man, every sentient being, to be able to be their 100%, 110%, their most absolutely conscious, creative, core soul process now, in every now that's ever going to be.